welcome the incredible Daniela Procopio.
Thank you so much for having me, Renee. I'm excited to be here today.
Thanks for joining me. You have created a cool product. And let me tell you, I've heard the stories, the horror stories of beverage companies because it seems like there's a dime a dozen. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs in the space that have crushed it and then some that have closed their business. So, and you just did it. You did it. You launched Solma. So tell us about this product and kind of why you started this business.
Absolutely. So happy to share a little bit about our journey, how we got started, why we got started, and where we got to where we are today. So I am a mother. I have three kids, four and under. So I've been part of, I've had the postpartum journey, been on the postpartum journey a few times. And everything I like to tell people is everyone talks about pregnancy and childbirth, but what I didn't really hear was about the fourth trimester, about what happens after that. And a big portion of that for many women is a breastfeeding journey. So I embarked on the breastfeeding journey with my kids, and I had a number of issues. I had supply issues, I had latch issues. Like I said, a number of things that you don't really hear about so often. And so with my supply issues, I looked to the various products in the market in order to be able to help me boost my supply. And what I found was that there are a number of products that can really help in this area. However, I noticed that there was a need, there was a lack, there was something missing for the ready to drink product, something that the mom could put in her bag, throw in a work bag, a diaper bag, sip throughout the day, reseal, and drink on the go for the mom on the go. And so, like I said, I looked at the products that already existed in the market, and I developed a product that had five of the major galactagogue ingredients in order to promote milk lactation, but aimed for the woman on the go. And so I worked actually really closely with a beverage developer, and that was a really fun part of the journey. I think in the very beginning, just trying to figure out, okay, I have this idea. How do I bring it to life? And I hope to be able to shed some light in this episode on how to do that, because what I found was you can Google, you can take classes, but it's really nice to learn from somebody who's done it before. So as I mentioned, we had this idea for the drink that we wanted to develop, and we worked closely with a drink developer. And we said, hey, listen, I want to develop a drink that has this taste profile, and it makes sure to include these ingredients, and I want to make sure that it does not have more than this number of calories, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they go and they do just that. They develop the beverage based on the specifications that you give them. And Renee, the first sample that I got, I was so discouraged because they literally took everything I wanted and they blended it up and they gave it to me, and it did not taste the way that I envisioned it.
Oh,
But
no.
now looking back a few years later, that's all part of the fun, right? Like, so we go and we had that first round of samples, and then we go and we tweak it and we add a few things and we say, okay, like, let's just like you're cooking. Okay, let's tone down this flavor a little bit and add a little bit of this flavor. And honestly, it's been really fun to get to where we are today with developing and getting the final formulation for the products.
So, how did you know to reach out to these formulation people or and even get the process started?
Yeah, honestly, a lot of it was self-education. There was a lot of different articles out there saying you want to develop a beverage and bring it to life, and started there. So we actually, one of the articles that we found when we were just doing the self-education was from this company that we utilize out of Kentucky, and they educate on how, if you want to develop a beverage, what sort of things you need to consider. And we just reached out to that company and we said, okay, we're biting. We want to develop a beverage. What does it take? And how do we start conversations? And they're excited to really bring the vision to life for you as well, which is expected, but it was still very, very exciting. And so from there, it took honestly a number of years to get to where we are today, because since they're located in Kentucky and we're located in Massachusetts, it was very much like, okay, we would do a round of samples, they'd send it to us, we would take the time to try the samples, to think about it, to really explore, all the various taste profiles in these samples. And then we would provide our feedback, and then they would take some more time in order to develop the next round of samples based on the feedback that we provided. So we
Wow.
did
Okay.
that back
So
and forth. Go
you
ahead.
have to be so passionate and believe in your product so much that you'll wait and you'll do the research and you'll find the
Yes.
right people and vendors to come and to be a part of this team. Um,
Oh, 100%.
in this process, were there ever moments where you're like, I'm done, I'm throwing in the towel?
Every day, right? Like, especially as a
Mhm.
business owner, as somebody with competing priorities, I'm a mother, full-time job. Like, of course, there's certain challenges and roadblocks that you hit and you're like, oh, is it worth it? But then you have to focus on your why. Of course it's worth it. And why am I doing this? And what lights me up about it? And there's a reason why I created this idea. And there's a reason that I brought it to life and I've gotten to this point. So I think that's something that I tell someone. Of course you're going to hit roadblocks, but focus on your why and remember the reason why you decided to embark on this journey to begin with.
Yeah, because you're solving your own problem. I mean, there's got to be something to be said about that too. So, when you had this product, were you in the process of breastfeeding?
Yes. Absolutely. So
Okay.
actually, like I said, we have 3 kids. So we started this idea when my middle child was born, and it finally launched when my third baby was born. So that just goes to show you what long of a process it's been. And so from there, I would actually be the one sample. I would sample the products on my own, and I'd be like, you know what, this is actually working. I'm seeing it work because I'm utilizing it firsthand. So when I say I was a target audience, I am. I'm the mom on the go, the one who's on this breastfeeding journey looking for a product, a resealable, ready to drink lactation support supplement product that I'm able to use. And I was able to use it on 2 out of my 3 pregnancies.
Wow, I love it. There's something to be said about using your own product and obviously seeing the results. I know with my breastfeeding journey, there was so many things as to why it didn't work out. One was that I had to go back to work pretty much right away. So my 2 boys are 11 months apart. So I had one, and then
Wow.
11 months later, welcomed another baby.
Good for
And
you. Wow.
don't even get me started about the whole breastfeeding thing in that. I mean, also the shame that's wrapped in it on how long you're doing it and how you're doing it. It's like, I'm sorry, girl, it ain't your business.
Right.
Um, but part of it was there was a lack of milk production. And there weren't too many resources back then. This was like 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago. And it was kind of like you don't really talk about it. And stuff like this didn't exist. And if it did, I didn't know about it. And the only
Right.
real solution to it was like going to the hospital, and they had help by nurses, lactation consultants in the hospital that could help you. But really, part of it was like they're going to teach you how the baby should latch, but they don't even talk about the mom's nutrition. And then there's
Right.
like you Google some things and you're like, okay, maybe this will work. But the reality is there wasn't enough conversation happening around it because women felt ashamed. They didn't want to talk about it. They're embarrassed. They would lie. Oh, yes, I'm still breastfeeding when they're not. They're formula fed. I had to do that. I did that
Right.
because I knew the person I was talking to would feel awkward and probably shame me if I told them I wasn't breastfeeding.
And
Now I'm
that's
just like,
so hard. You're
it's
already
so
balancing
hard.
enough as like as a mom, as someone on their postpartum journey, and then to feel like you have to not tell the truth because you're going to be judged. That's like that's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the judgment comes. Either way it comes.
Oh,
But
100%.
so I
Yeah.
love this. So then how long now has the product been in the market?
Yeah, so we recently launched, so it's just a few months old. I like to say
Oh,
it's my fourth baby. So it's just a few
totally.
months old. And yeah, no, I think to your original point, I think what is really great is that the conversation recently, over the last few years, has drastically changed. I think what you said when you were going through your postpartum journey, it was in a completely different landscape than it is now. Now I feel like people are being able to talk more about their breastfeeding journey and they're more open about it. And now, even though obviously I breastfeed my children and I breastfed my children, I think now it's also there's no stigma if you decide to breastfeed versus if you decide to formula feed. My biggest thing is fed is best. If you decide to embark on the breastfeeding journey, let me provide a product to make it easier for you to continue if you so wish. That's my
And I
biggest thing.
wish that there was more education during the pregnancy stage too. Because it's kind of like when you're pregnant, it's all about the health of the baby and being pregnant. And then the baby happens, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's right. I have to breastfeed. How do I do this? And what's
Right.
wrapped up in this? So you're actively trying to breastfeed and then Googling answers to the question at the same time. But
And
there
and
needs to be this, and quite frankly, there should be like a whole course and program on how to be a new mom.
so true. I feel like I could definitely myself add a few chapters to that course or program. So if you know someone, let me know. I'm happy to collaborate.
For sure.
Because I totally agree. Like I said, I like you hear about all these different things leading up to pregnancy, lots of information, and then childbirth. But then that's it. Then you get a
Yeah.
baby and you go home and you hear breastfeeding is beautiful and it's natural and it's true. However, what I noticed was that there was not enough conversations behind the challenges that a lot of women face. Like, for example, for me, I just remember it was so painful. They used to talk about, we used to call it the 10-second sizzle, to just like not to be graphic or descriptive, but I just remember it being like really, really painful. And again, as a new mom, nobody had ever talked to me about that. So you're already, feeling a certain way after having a baby, and then you're going through this, and all the narrative you hear is breastfeeding is natural and it's beautiful, and that's it. And you're like, well, is there something wrong with me? Am I doing it wrong? Like, why does it not feel as magical as everybody keeps talking about how it should be? And for me personally, I remember going through that and being like, is it me? Am I the problem? What is going on? So one of the biggest things is I want to be able to start that conversation and be able to say, hey, it is natural and it's beautiful. And if you want to embark on it, let's talk about it because it can be challenging and sometimes it can be painful. And let's work through that. Let me give you a product in order to be able to help you with your supply if that is something that you're interested in pursuing.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so let's flip the switch to the marketing of this.
All right,
So
let's do it.
so we know the beverage space is very it's like a red ocean. Um, but you're like, no, no, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna do this thing. It took you a long time to get this product to actually be available to the masses, and now you have a beautiful website, beautiful branding. I almost feel like right at home looking at it. That sun definitely lights me up. You're also in this time, as we already discussed, that people are more open to being like, oh, geez, let's support the mom in all of this. Finally. So, how did you decide what marketing channels to pursue? And I know you're just a few months old, but what do you already see is working?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with your second question. So what I already see working is the connection. So the marketing that allows me to connect with individuals. So what we're doing right now, or word of mouth, or going to different groups and being able to speak to that. Because me personally, as a consumer, I I support products and brands that I feel a personal connection to. And as you mentioned, the market is already so saturated with many different things. But what I feel makes us unique and different, there really isn't too much out there like us. A ready to drink lactation support supplement beverage that has 5 of the main galactic ingredients. So we're already a little different, but we are in a market that is oversaturated. So one of the biggest things that we focus on is making that connection in order for people to be able to feel comfortable with our product, with our brand, and create brand awareness. Um, and then other areas that we really are focusing on is the organic marketing. So that is something that we're really in the beginning stages of in order to start creating a social media presence, in order to be able to start collaborating and reaching a larger audience, speaking with other individuals that are currently embarking on the postpartum journey, other brands that also offer services for the woman on the postpartum and specifically breastfeeding journey. So we really like to focus on that organic piece. And then again, other ways, other marketing tactics in order to be able to create exposure, because I believe in our product and I can speak to it about all the various, functions and the background and how we got to where we are today. But the biggest way to grow is to be able to get in front of other consumers in order to create exposure, have more people try our product, and create brand awareness through that way.
Yeah. And here's something about this too that I love from the PR lens, because that's what we do here at We Wild Women, is I can't stress enough how important it is to build up that brand authority, the credibility, and especially from the founder's perspective. So I love that you're launched, so you're new to the market, but the founder is actually stepping up and going on like a podcast tour,
Yeah,
because what we're seeing now, especially with PR, is we need more agency. We need more clarity into the why, the story, the responsibility kind of behind it too, and showing up as a founder being like, I've created this, here's my story, but also understanding the importance in building up that personal brand. Most people are like,
yes,
here's my product, going to the market, let the team do the work. But people want to see the face behind who created it. And so
right?
there's just as much important in you showing up as your brand showing up. So I want to commend you
Absolutely.
for that.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
feel like it absolutely goes hand in hand and it goes to the origin story, our founder story as to, yeah, I thought this was a great idea, but also I myself was I look back at myself 4 or 5 years ago, and the reason that we even came up with this idea was because I needed a product like this. I needed what we are currently offering. So, of course, I'm going to represent the brand and be out there because I know what it's like to be on the postpartum journey and trying all the things and finding, even though they're effective, what it currently exists, it's not giving me what I need at the period of time that I need it.
Yeah. So in terms of your growth, do you have a mentor or a coach that you're speaking to regularly?
So I did work with a business coach in the very beginning stages, and I will put a plug in for that because I think that is instrumental, especially for me. Like I am the sort of person I have a million different ideas going on at the same time. So it's really nice to have somebody be like, that's great, write them all down. And then let's start actionable steps in order to go from one step to the next. And what can you focus on now? And what's your immediate goals? And what are things that you can work towards later? And then let's start chipping away at those goals in order to start seeing results. So I did work with a business coach when we were coming up with the idea and doing all the different steps in order to get there. And I found that super important. And
Mhm.
now I always, I do touch points with the business coach, even though I'm not in a formal business, a coaching program. It's more so once a customer, always sort of a customer, even though there's no official program I'm part of right now.
I love it. So thank you for that plug and the honesty too. Um, and I was going to ask, was there ever a part of this journey, even when you were working with somebody, that you're like, this is not going to work?
Of course, I feel like always, right? And I think two things. One, for me, I've seen that, in other people that I've spoken to, I can see that as normal. Of course, sometimes there's going to be, the thought that enters your mind, oh, this is not going to work, or what am I doing? Like imposter syndrome takes over. But then, like I said, that's why you really have to, have that thought, give it its second, but then quickly shift your perspective and focus on that why. But wait, there's a reason I came up with this. Of course, I can be the one to do this because, again, I'm the reason, I went through this, so I know why we need it. But of course, and I think that goes to show that you are not stagnant, you are growing. If you're constantly doing things and you're like, am I on the right path? It means that you're moving. And if you're constantly moving, you have opportunities for growth. So
Yes.
yeah, I think it
And
happens, but it's normal.
to add to that is you don't have to be the expert in creating beverage brands. You just have to be the end consumer to fully understand what it is that you need. So like you
I
see some people are like, I there for you, perfect example is you are deploying an important tool for women who are breastfeeding. You don't know how to create a beverage brand. Well, now you did, but back then you didn't. Right?
well, and
So it just goes to show
right.
you find the passion, there's the purpose. And so when you're faced with these moments when you're like, oh my gosh, this is too much. There's, all these extra bills are coming in, things are delayed. Where is stuff happening? You're like, you want to give up. but the stuff is already in motion. There's momentum. It's going to come to fruition. You just got to keep showing up. And that's often the hardest part.
That's the hardest part. Honestly, it is. And that's why I always like to say, too, know what you know, and then know when you need to call in the experts,
Yeah.
know when you need to outsource, have enough confidence in yourself to be like, you know what? I know why I'm doing this. There's a reason for this, and be able to fuel like continue that momentum, but also know when to call on the experts. Say, you know what? I have this idea and I know I want these ingredients in it, but I've never developed a beverage before, so I'm going to have to call on an expert in order to be able to bring my vision to life.
Yes. And I got to bring up cost here really quickly. Did it end up costing you more or less than you anticipated to bring this product to market?
Yeah, so actually, it was just aligned with what we anticipated. That's one of the biggest things that we made sure of in the very beginning. You know what? We have this idea, we're committing to this stream, but what does it mean? Because one of my biggest areas that I looked at was that I didn't want to get halfway down the road and then say, all right, we're unable to continue because of cost, because of increasing price. So we made sure to lay everything out and through the first round of production. And that's another reason why it took it so long to get to where we are today, because you were trying to lay out all the different pieces and making sure that we were working with individuals that are startup friendly, that have, lower quantities that they need to produce and things of that nature in order to meet our budget, so that we felt comfortable really proceeding, in order so that we wouldn't get to a certain point and have to stop. We're able to at least see a certain portion of it through.
Right. And then while you were building this out, were you also working or did you take outside funding?
Yeah, no, so still working, and I still am to this day. And I think that's a challenge, but also a blessing, because we're able to really, we like to say we utilize all 24 hours of the day. Actually, the 24 hours of the day sometimes feels like eight. It feels like there's always so much going on. So it's quite, because we have so much going on and still working. But that's another reason we're able to be able to continue the path that we're on, because we're able to
Wow.
continue working.
Okay, so this is bootstrapped. You're working,
Yes.
building up this beverage company, and you have 3 kids, let alone taking care of yourself and a partner.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But honestly, I
What?
think I say this often. It's important to have good support, and my husband is a rock in this. And sometimes, I am able to give 100% of the day, and sometimes I can only give 10% because so much other things are going on. And it's important to have somebody who supports you and shares your why. And so that knows that even though a day is challenging or requires more of them than normal, they're fine with it and they're supportive of every step that you take in order to bring your dream to life.
Yes. Okay, so is he in the business with you full time or what's his participation?
Yeah, so he is in the business with me full time. He also manages another business that we have, a spice business, a food business. So he is the one that does a lot of the day to day, in the background scenes and things of that, in order to really let me be, as you mentioned previously, the face, the one that speaks about the one who really went through the breastfeeding experience and can speak to it. But you always need an operations master in the background, making sure that all the moving pieces are working as they should be. So he's the one who manages that.
Ooh, okay. So talking about having other people involved in the business when it comes to marketing operations, when do you know it's time to do it yourself and when it's time to hire somebody else to do it for you?
Yeah. So, two different reasons that I'd say hire out. Hire out if you do not have the bandwidth to do it well, and hire out if you do not have the expertise. So, I'm all about that bootstrap mentality as much as you can. However, as I mentioned previously, like know what you know and know what you don't know so that you're able to outsource that successfully. And so, I think one of our biggest things for me was I started looking outside for support outside in certain areas when I realized not only did I not have the bandwidth, but my strengths, my passions lied in different areas that my business would be better suited. It would better suit my business if I focus on the areas that I'm both good at and fills my cup. And the other areas that perhaps I could use improvement on or don't seem as fulfilling, but are equally as important to me, outsource those areas.
Ooh, okay. So for me, that would be accounting and legal, which are important to outsource
Which are
anyway.
critical, which you
So
absolutely
critical.
need, but I am not an expert in those areas, and nor do I wanna be, honestly.
Well, and also
So
like formulating this, it's not like you're in your kitchen with the beaker or putting this stuff into every every product, right? You've outsourced the production.
right.
So there are people that probably many people that are involved in bringing this to the shelves.
Oh, there are so many people that are involved from the very beginning stages, and I can literally detail it out from the people that are helping us figure out how do we even, start in the very beginning, like creating an LLC in order to start this whole process, all the way to creating a name for our product, creating, do we use our own bank account? Do we want a business bank account? What does the accounting look for that? All right, we finally got all of that squared away. Do we need an NDA for an idea? All right, we're going to need legal advice in order to get an NDA in order to start speaking to other individuals, co-packers, production facilities, and things like that. Then you have the individuals that take your formula that was finally created with the beverage architect. And even though the formula is for 6 bottles, they now multiply it by however, what that large number is in order to produce your production amount. So there's those individuals. Then you have the individuals that are going to take your final product and ship it to your packaging facility. And then you have the people that are lovingly taking each order and packing it up and sending it to wherever it needs to go. So there are people that are literally involved in making, and helping us bring our product to life and into everybody's home.
Yeah. And the business world and the economy can't survive without those people. Every single one of them, employees, contractors, freelancers, even the guy that delivers your mail.
A hundred
They're
percent.
so important. And I think there's times when as leaders, we sit there and we're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I'm so frustrated. I want to throw in the towel. Well, besides the big why and the purpose in what you're doing, like you're providing this tool for women to feel comfortable and to feel at ease knowing, oh, I'm also a woman that might have problem lactating, or maybe there's women that have a beautiful journey with this and they still want this product. To know though, besides the why, you still have the people that you're supporting. And so
Yes.
those days when you're like, I'm not doing this anymore, or maybe I can just hire someone to replace me, I'm stepping away. You have to look to your team because they're looking at you, they're watching you, they're taking cues, and you have to be the example. And yes, it's hard, but you know what? This is why we have warm, comfy beds at night so we can go home and cry sometimes. This is why we have a support system.
We're getting
But
real now, Renee. Yep.
we are getting real. It happens. Like, I mean, I just not the other day, I was with my dog and he's so cute, but I was like super frustrated because when there's a failure or when there's change, there's always opportunity for growth. But sometimes growth is the thing that scares us the most. It's not actually the failure. And
Right.
I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know what? I can just shut down my business. We'll be fine. And I can be a stay-at-home mom. No disrespect to stay-at-home moms, by the way. But when I
It's a hard
realized
job. Yeah.
all the people I employ, all the people who I'm of service to, they also need me. So that's the motivation to keep going.
And what an honor that is, right? That
Right.
you've created something that other people now rely on the work that you do in order to provide for their family. I think that's such an
Exactly.
honor.
It's an ecosystem. We all need
It's an
each
eco
other.
you took the word out of my mouth. I was just going to say, it is an
You're into it.
ecosystem. Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. Absolutely.
Okay, so this is, I mean, if I was breastfeeding, I would totally sign up to, I mean, we're in Canada, so I don't know if you ship, but anyways, if you're a listener, does it ship to Canada or is it just United States right now?
Right now, just the United States, but we do have plans for growth in the future, but right now, just in the
Sweet.
US.
So you can go online and you can buy it. I'm just looking at the site right now. It's Solma Tea, so SolmaTea.com. Super beautiful. If you are breastfeeding, going to be breastfeeding, if you have any friends, this actually makes for a beautiful baby shower gift too. So let's get creative. Every single one of my baby shower gifts in the last 10 years since I've had kids hardly had anything to do with the baby and everything to do with the mom because buying the baby stuff is easy, cute little outfits, toys, whatever. Moms hardly get anything. I always put
Right?
together these beautiful little gift baskets for mom, whatever they need, like breast pads, teas like this, creams, stuff to just help them feel good about themselves, relax, because that's what moms need. Moms actually
I
need the
love
most
that.
attention in all of this, and we get the least amount of attention.
I was just going to say, I love that because you're absolutely right. You go to a baby shower and everything is just for the baby and great. Like everyone is excited about the baby being here, but you're right. The mom goes through sometimes very traumatic journeys in order to get the baby here. And so why not show them a little love? So yeah, absolutely. I think Solma Tea would be a great baby shower gift or a great postpartum. You're visiting the family for the first time. You bring a casserole and some Solma Tea.
Yeah, it's maybe just a casserole of Solma tea. Um,
Okay.
okay, so this is, I mean, you're new to market, so congratulations, by the way, because we know now the journey it took you to get here. What are your plans for the future for the brand?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are strictly e-commerce right now. Our plans right now involve reaching more homes, getting more exposure, and then eventually move on to other retail locations in order to be able to reach even more people, to make it more accessible in order to help women on their journey. And then from there, I mean, long term, if we're being totally honest, I personally have a lot of different goals for the brand for Solma overall, not just tea, possibly in
Mhm.
other the food beverage, but the food business and other different aspects. But yeah, definitely would love to be able to reach more individuals and through retail locations. That's short term goal.
I love it. Okay. So, any last words of wisdom with regards to creating a category and bringing a product to market?
Last words of wisdom. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. There's a reason why you got this idea in your mind. Focus on your why. I've said that numerous times, but that is what will get you out of bed sometimes in the morning. That is what will enable you to put one foot in front of the other. So focus on your why. Know what you know. Outsource what you don't know. Rely on your village. I think that that's very important. And your village could be, your spouse, your partner. Your village could be your dog, like you said. Rely on someone who's able to provide support when the going gets tough, because I think that's part of the fun of being a business owner. But that sometimes there are challenges, and you just have to be able to get past it as well. So I'd focus on that and reach out. What I've noticed in my entrepreneurial journey is that I've reached out to other entrepreneurs, and they have been so willing to offer support, offer advice, offer a listening ear, and say, you know what? I haven't gone through that, but I know somebody who did. Let me connect you. Or I just went through that. Let me see if I can figure out some information and send it your way in order to help you out. So reach out to your community, join different forums. So, you have an idea, it lit you up, see it through. That's my biggest thing.
I love it. And you are seeing this through. Okay, so one last question for you. When I ask you what it means to be a wild woman, what is that to you?
A wild woman is somebody who wakes up every day and is able to continue, life is going at a million different directions. You have different competing priorities, but you're able to clearly focus. I see a wild woman as one who is standing firmly, feet on the ground, with sometimes chaos and a tornado around her, but she still has her goal, her eye on the goal. And that's what I see. That's how I honestly, that's how I see myself. So much going on. There's a constant chaos in my life in a good way, but sometimes just in challenging ways. But I have my feet on the ground, and through the chaos, through the tornado, through the mist, I'm able to see my goal, and I focus my attention on that. And I think that makes you so powerful in this, in the game of life, is to be able to take everything that life throws at you and focus on what you want and go after it. And I think that that makes you powerful and wild.
I love it. Oh my gosh, so great. I love your journey. I love what you're doing. Such an important tool. I like to call this a tool, but also what I love about what you've created is that you've opened up this dialogue for women and almost giving them permission now to talk about this journey of breastfeeding, because it is so tough. It is beautiful, but let me tell you,
It is
it
tough.
is the toughest thing I have ever done, hands down. Okay, so if people want to go and find you online, where can they go?
solmatea.com. And also our social media is Solma Tea. So feel free to reach out. We are, like I said, on e-commerce, on social media, and always responding to messages. And we appreciate everyone's support and interest. The interest that we've received has been phenomenal so far. And so we're excited to be able to reach more homes and continue that conversation, as you said, where women can feel empowered to breastfeed if that's the journey that they're on, and feel supported. I want to build a village and continue providing the support for women that I've felt on my journey.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today, Daniela.
Thank you so much for having me, Renee. This was great.